What is up, everyone? This is the Subconscious Mind, and today we're talking about 7 principles that have completely changed my lifestyle and have completely changed the way of thinking that I have. We're talking about the 7 Hermetic Principles. And now, this is more of a brief introduction into one. I'm not going to get really deep into it. I suggest if you want to know more about the 7 principles, you can read the Kybalion, which is the book, and they were written in 1908 by the Three Initiatives. Now, this knowledge has been passed down from ancient times, all the way back from the Greek god Hermes and also the Egyptian god of writing, Tahuti. And now, in the 7 Hermetic Principles, they're basically laws of nature, unchanging laws, laws that never change. And if you live by these principles, you will be able to manifest almost anything that you could think of in your life. And so we can start at the first principle, which is the principle of mentalism. The principle of mentalism states that the all is mind and the universe is mental. So if you understand that, what it's saying is everything happened in the known universe, in the material universe, everything, matter, energy, everything is all happening in the mind of the all, in the mind of the creator, if you will. And so what this principle teaches us is that what you think of will be manifested for you. So if you think negatively, your life will be negative. This is just the way it works. Whatever you think of is the reality that you create. And so we have to be mindful of what we're thinking. We may think, we're in our heads and nobody knows what we're, nobody has to worry because only we know what we're thinking about. What you got to understand that what you're thinking about is a complete manifestation of your reality. And so whatever you think about is what you create. So the first Hermetic principle of mentalism states that the mind is basically able. The reason it's the first principle is because the mind is connected. There's only one mind and it's all connected, and it's the mind of the all, and we are just basically thoughts in the mind of the all. We exist in the mind of the all. So if you take this principle and you apply it to your life, you will be able to manifest basically whatever you're thinking about. So if I need a new job and I'm thinking about this new job constantly, or whatever have you, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna manifest this new job into my life because I'm creating it in my mind so that it's going to be created in my reality. And that's the way it works. So that's a real watered down and basic introduction into the first Hermetic principle, which is mentalism. Like I said, if you guys want to get deeper into that, you can pick up the Kybalion. I'm still we'll talk about that more. But the second Hermetic principle is the principle of correspondence. And now the principle of correspondence states, as above, so below. And that was a popular phrase of Tahuti, the Egyptian god of writing. He used to say, as above, so below, as within, so without. And what this principle states is, whatever happens in the macrocosm is happening in the microcosm. Nothing is really separated. Everything is happening no matter in what plane of reality is in. So if you understand this, then you can answer and you can figure out, you can answer your own questions as to different unknown things of the universe that nobody can really explain, because whatever happens in this reality and in this universe is also happening throughout every other plane in existence, in the spiritual plane, the mental plane, the physical plane, whatever. So that is the principle of correspondence, and it definitely does get deeper. Now the third Hermetic principle is the principle of vibration. And vibration The principle of vibration states that everything is in a moving state. Everything is vibrating. Nothing rests. From the highest vibration, which is the spirit, which is the all, if you will, which basically resonates directly from the all. From the highest vibration to the lowest vibrating piece of matter, everything is in a vibrative state, and nothing is resting. And when you understand this, and you understand that everything is just energy, and energy can never die, you can use this principle to completely, well, not completely, but just to see things in a whole different light. When you look at this desk that looks like it's sitting still is actually in a vibrative state. And if you remember your science classes and you know things like that from school, you remember your theories in the molecular structures, you know that atoms are always in constant movement. So that is a principle of correspondence. Now the next principle, and the fourth principle, is the principle of polarity. Everything has poles. Everything has opposites. There is no like or unlike, though. See, hot and cold are the same exact thing. They're just two sides of the same coin. And when you realize this, you start realizing that everything is connected. There is no hot and cold because they're the same thing. Nothing is and everything is. Yeah. But listen, when you think of the principle of polarity, for instance, light and dark, or hot and cold, where does one begin and one end? If you look at your thermometer at your house, where can you say is absolute hot or absolute cold? You know what I'm saying? Absolute heat. Where does one end? Where does heat end and cold begin? There really isn't a line, because they're just two varying degrees of the same scale. Same as light and dark. Where does light end and darkness begin? You see what I'm saying? Everything has a polar opposite, but they're technically not opposites. It's hard to grasp, but that's essentially what it is. So high and low are just varying degrees of the same thing. So everything you can think of, you know, light and dark, hot and cold, high and low. You know what I'm saying? There's so many examples of this stuff. It's like wet and dry. Like all of these things are just varying degrees of the same exact thing. And that is the principle of polarity. And when you grasp the principle of polarity, you basically, for instance, let's use the example of hate and love. Those are two very opposite things for most people nowadays, but people don't understand hate and love are two sides of the same coin. And this is why you can turn hate into love in your own mind or in someone else's mind. Because by being aware and thinking of hate, you can turn that into love. You can transmute that energy into love. And it can get real deep, but it's really basic. When you look at the basic fundamental of each principle, it's not really hard to understand. It makes sense, if you will. Now, the next principle is the principle of rhythm. That everything has a rhythm. The universe has a rhythm that it's on, a season, you know, like the tides, you know, high tide, low tide. There's a rhythm to everything. The pendulum swings as far right as it swings left. Everything has a rhythm. And so you're, as a person, you know, you may wake up every morning at 8 in the morning. You know, that may be your rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So everything is unique and has its own rhythm. So that is the principle of rhythm. Now, the next principle is the principle of cause and effect. The principle of cause and effect states that every cause has an effect and every effect has a cause. And I mean, this is one of the things that we learned at a very young age, but it's probably something that people overlook, because cause and effect, you know, if you throw a rock in a pond, you will see the ripples of the water, because that is the effect of that rock landing in the pond. So everything in the universe has a cause and an effect. Nothing can happen on its own. There cannot just be a cause or just an effect. Nothing happens in a coincidental matter. You see what I'm saying? So there is no luck, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Everything has a cause and an effect. And that is a principle of cause and effect. Now, the last principle, the last Hermetic principle is gender. The principle of gender states that everything in the universe has masculine and feminine in itself. So, as a man, I have feminine energy, just as a woman has masculine energy. Obviously, I have more of one than the other, but when you start looking at everything in this way, everything in nature, everything in life, you start realizing that everything is one. And even though there are varying differences in everything, we're all connected. And basically what these 7 principles teach or preach, if you will, is that you have to create your own reality, and you have to manifest in your mind what you want to happen. And also, you need to understand that everything in the universe is in a state of vibration, a state of energy, always changing, constantly moving. And so it doesn't just mean that once you start thinking like this, you know, your entire you know, you can go right back into negative thinking, is what I'm trying to say. That this doesn't mean that once you start thinking like this, you're good forever, or you know, you have to basically embody these principles and take these principles and make them a part of your life. And once you do that, I can guarantee you, you will be able to manifest anything that you can think of. When you see yourself as a millionaire, you will become a millionaire. But you don't see yourself as a millionaire. This is why you're not a millionaire. Because as above, so below. And as within, so without. So this is a really, really brief introduction on the 7 Hermetic Principles, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comments. Definitely might touch back on this subject a little later on, go a little deeper. I didn't really speak too much on a lot of them, but I did speak on the first few ones a little more than briefly, because the first 3 principles govern the last 4. And so when you learn to live your life through the first 3 principles, they will be in direct control of the last 4. So once you understand the first 3 principles, you can then apply them to the last 4 principles. And so this is really powerful stuff, and I am a walking example of this. Just about 2 months ago, I was definitely not thinking anywhere near like this. Maybe 3 months ago now, but it's just a testament to that the way you think is really the reality that you create. So hopefully this video helps up a lot of people, and you know, let me guys know what you think. Maybe if you have come across the 7 Hermetic Principles, how they have changed your life, hit us up in the comments, let us know. Peace and love, everyone. Peace and love.